driving the erosion here is, this is actually kind of pleasantly timed. Do you see some divers over there? There are the dive company, Manta Dive, is one of the dive companies here on the island. So this is a dive spot off Amity Point here. If anybody knows anything about diving, you're not going on relatively shallow water. You want to actually get some depth. So if they're there, it gets pretty deep out there quite quickly. That's not really like most reflective. We see where we were at Bradbury's Beach, and 1 mile out the front of Moreton Bay Research Station, you have a beach, and then it's a nice mud flat, and it's really, really shallow for quite a long time. It's not the case out here. It's dropping quite quickly to quite deep. And there's actually fairly interesting marine ecosystems out here, partially because there's the seawalls that have been put in place as well. So that allows for little complex structures for fish to live in and be protected by. So it's quite deep. It's not really like a beach then. It is, but it's not really. This is kind of a bit different to the beaches you usually see. I'm getting heckled by the crows. So what has also happened here is there's a big tidal channel out there that has progressively moved closer towards the coast. And if we look on our maps, you will see that straight out here is actually quite a strong tidal channel. And Michelle mentioned that with the seahorse races, if you actually went out there with floaties, the bull sharks might quite like that. So it's quite deep out there and quite sharky, so it's known to have a number of sharks that will be out in this water, but also dolphins as well. So it's quite a healthy and interesting kind of community marine ecosystem out there. So what you can have occur with erosion, you can get a cessation of the sand coming down at this environment, but you can also have something like a tidal channel switch its location and take cannibalized sand from a shoreline. And that's partially what's been happening here. And so a lot of the infrastructure that you'll see in place in Amity Point here, and so we can see it here, but we're also going to walk up over the top of this grassy knoll here and look at the rest of the groin field. That's all been put in place to try and stop that erosion into this community here, because there are people who live here. There's a caravan park down there. It's one of the 3 main communities on Manduraba and North Stradbroke Island, so Dunwich where we were, Amity Point, Point Lookout, plus some of the beaches leading up to Point Lookout, but they're the 3 main communities. And so all of this infrastructure is here to try and stop the erosion into the houses that are here. I'll make the point now because it's in my head to make sure I don't forget it. The current there's research that is occurring, but one of the big concerns is a bit further north from here, there's erosion that occurs really rapidly. And by rapidly, I mean like tens of meters in the space of an hour. So I was saying it's quite steep out here. So we get erosion that we've been talking about in this class, which is like a big storm and erodes a beach face and chucks it out into the surf zone. But you know, it's not moving the whole dune system tens of meters really, really quickly. This is a bit different. It's really, really steep because of that tidal channel. And if you get a situation where something gets too steep, you end up getting catastrophic failure and it eroding back really, really quickly. So it's kind of like mass wasting is one of the terminologies for it, but it's avalanching, collapsing of a bank into the ocean here. You might see that on rivers sometimes as well. So anywhere where you are getting it almost vertical, it starts eroding back very, very quickly. And so that's been happening occasionally on some of the sites a bit further north. A bit further north on here, there are houses right on the edge of these seawalls. So it's a big erosion problem in Redlands Council, but also for southeast Queensland. And they're completely reliant on the kind of protection that's offered by the seawalls and the groins for a lot of this community to remain here at the moment. So questions are, what do we do in the future? Because this is currently protecting everything, but it's a very dynamic site, and what happens when sea levels rise, et cetera, everything we talk about within this course. So I think I'll leave the talk there for the moment. What I want us to do is just walk up here and have a look at the rest of that groin field to see the infrastructure that's in place to protect the shoreline. And then we'll turn around and walk down to that final terminal groin down there. And I want to look at what it looks like down there, because it changes every single year that we come here. So take some photos, have a look, and then I'll describe what it was like when I first came here in 2008 as a 3rd-year undergrad. And I'll talk about it there. So I'll pause for the moment and we'll just walk up here and take a look.